Welcome back to the channel. Thank you guys for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate you going out of your way to like, comment, and subscribe. So thank you for that. It helps me and the channel out a lot. Now let's talk about rescue mode in the post spawn, because this is probably the time of year where you're gonna need to be saved by a bait that just seems like it catches them in all situations, all depth ranges, any type of cover, and you can fish this slow or fast. Very important. But I don't want to just give you this bait right off the bat, because if you just go out there and start whirling this around, you're going to catch a lot of small fish. If you can get away with throwing a swim jig, cranking, throwing a buzz bait, then these are ideal baits. The issue with these baits are they're not going to bite them in every situation, and that's very important in the post spawn. Now, in the pre-spawn, it seems like you can pick up a chatterbait or a crankbait, throw that all day, and do pretty well. The difference between the pre-spawn and the post spawn, though, is that the fish in the pre-spawn are kind of on a schedule. The water is warming up. They know they need to get in and spawn, so it's important that they feed up right then and there. They're not waiting for little windows, little timing. They are biting all day, and they're feeding up heavily, and they're not moving around a whole lot. Now, the post spawn is completely different than that. They can be in the post spawn for months. There's nothing pushing them to go out and get in their summer areas. So that's very important to also note that they are moving a whole lot. They are leaving. They're not coming to one specific area. They're just kind of dispersing. So for that reason, covering water and having a bait that's going to work when your other baits don't, very important. So my bait of choice is a fluke. If I need to catch fish out in 5-6 feet of water or deeper, I can catch them on that, and I can also catch them in a foot of water. Now, if I need to be moving this bait extremely fast, I can catch them on that. If I need to be killing this bait and just letting it dead stick, I can also catch them on that. So there's not really another bait in the post spawn where it lays on the bottom, it's still appealing to fish. I'm burning it as fast as I can fish it, still appealing to fish. And it's not like a flipping bait where if it's a 6 inches of water, it's not going to do a whole lot. This, I can still make it appealing to fish in mud, dirt, shallow water. So very important. Now, again, if you just go out there and throw a fluke all day, you're going to catch a bunch of little fish. That's not necessarily what this bait is for, to just go throw it all day. If I can catch fish swimming a jig, that's going to be my number one, or a swim bait, something where I can cover a lot of water, but I'm still appealing to big fish. But what tends to happen, back to the conditions where the fish don't really have a window, they're not on a strict timeline of when they got to feed, they can just pick and choose. For that reason, they become a very tough fish to catch. It becomes extremely tough because they're going to bite in small windows throughout the day. You add on top of that they're moving and they're dispersing, they're all over the place. Covering water is the first rule, and then giving them a bait that really fits the situation. So for that, I have the full gamut of baits on my deck. The buzz bait, the crankbait, the swim jig, the spinner bait. I may even have a Cinco, because there's a lot of different deals going on. Maybe fry garters. I may have a prop bait. There's going to probably be a ton of bluegill up real shallow. And there's just a lot of different situations that go on in the post spawn. Now, they can all be not good. The fish don't have to bite. So all those different situations, you might not be able to catch anything on any of those baits. And that's where the fluke really plays. So what I've seen happen to me most of the time in the post spawn is I find fish doing one thing and I've got to completely change. Now, it gets fun when you find fish post frontal, sunny, blue sky day, and then it gets cloudy, a little front rolls in, then you can just go to catching them on a swim jig or a spinner bait. That's the fun time. But what typically is going to happen is it's going to go the other way, and your swim jig bite, where you were getting 8 bites a day or 10 bites a day on it, may dwindle down to 2 or 3 bites. Well, that's no good anymore. And the same thing goes for, a buzz bait or some of these other baits where you really do have to have a specific condition. The fluke, it really is going to work in all conditions. So very important. Now, the other thing that I do want you guys to take note of, because this has happened to me, where you may have a really good morning, smoking hot morning where you catch good weight in that first hour. Then the rest of the day, you don't make any type of upgrade. What typically is happening to you is you're not changing with the fish. The fish are going from being very aggressive to biting whatever it was you were throwing to totally getting off that bait, and you've got to switch, really downsize and go to something else. And that's where the rescue mode of the fluke is going to come back into play, because it seems like you may get kind of led down the wrong road with a window that is just on fire. Go, I'm just going to do this the rest of the day. It's working too well. And it just totally goes to nothing. So the fluke, again, very important when it just gets tough, to continue to pick up clues, because in the post spawn, it's hard to get clues. So every time you can get a clue, it's very important. And that's where the fluke is going to help you. And then who knows, maybe a little front blows through, something changes, maybe you get in an area that has a bunch of shade, then you can go back to your other baits. But the fluke is going to be that little rescue mode, bail you out type of bait. A lot of points in time in the day to keep the momentum going and keep you putting the puzzle together. So try that. Good luck to you guys, and I'll see you on the water.